Hello everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down what is actually quite a complicated path, the Wixwell's path here, where with numerous key locks you can, if you want, get a 5-star Wixwell soul. It's very expensive, but you can. I'll be breaking it down, and there's also a bunch of rewards here down the bottom as well. We'll be taking a look at that. So lots of good stuff in here, but is it worth it? And yeah, how does it actually look? Also, one fun thing, we've got obviously the different faction unity champs boosted each different day. I put up a poll yesterday. This is the result so far with 4,000 votes for who the best faction unity champion is. So if you want to follow the community sentiment with your polls and who to target, for instance, Dune Lord Gregor, who is the boosted chance today, is only 10% of the vote, so he's pretty unpopular. Whereas Falman Mornsword is super popular. So, you know, it's just a fun little thing I thought I'd put up that fits in, because you have to pull during a 10x event. You might as well pick the one that you like the most. Also, this is interesting as well. Let me throw this out there. Make sure to like and subscribe and all of that. Follow the channel to see these polls popping up for you. I really enjoy doing these just to get sentiment about things. But yeah, in terms of how long people have been playing, 10% of my viewers less than 1 year. I mean, a quarter of people have been playing for more than 4 years, which is crazy. It's almost it's very evenly split across the time periods, honestly, which is really interesting. But let's go. Let's break down then this. Let's break down the Wixwell's path and what's going on. I guess one thing we should note first of all, to get points for this path, to put it in context, right? Leveling and ranking up champions. So basically champion training minus obviously tournaments. You can book champions. That does not work here. And for champion training, tournaments and events, you can ascend champions. And again, that doesn't work here. It's just leveling and ranking up. And then it's basically summon rush, right? Summoning champions from shards. It doesn't matter how lucky you are with the quality of champions that you get. It is simply what you get from the shards. And we do have at the same time that, like I said, the 2x for sacred shards running through the whole weekend, with the 10x for the different faction unities on each different day. I mean, look, at a 2x sacreds with 10x for, you know, pretty good champions, actually, to be fair. It's a pretty good event to pull sacred shards if you have lots of sacred shards with which to do so. You know, fusions really come first. Don't jeopardize your fusions. And this is a guaranteed soul, but you could be costing yourself a guaranteed champion in the future, perhaps. So anyway, let's go. Let's look at this. So why is this so complicated? In fact, let me make this full screen so it's easier for you to see. Why it is so complicated, if we want to get to the soul, we can go, you know, we could, in theory, go. Let me do a big purple thing here, not that. Let me switch to a brush and make it big. Like, we could go, oh, you know, silver thing, and then, oh, we're just straight down to the souls, right? Great, fantastic. But you can't do that. Why not? Because, well, there's a 1 key lock here, a 2 key lock here, and another 2 key lock here. It's actually very complicated to get to these souls. So let me show you how to break it down. Basically, what I did was I said, we'll do this in 3 steps. So step number 1, we start off with the silver. So we grab silver, energy, and you could go either side. I think the left side's a bit juicier, but it's very subjective, right? The left side, I think, is a bit better. It's got a 6-star speed glyph, which is really nice. They're very limited. I think the oils are worth more than the dust, or the dust is worth, I don't know. This is the Sand Devil one. This is the Phantom Shogun one. I think the Sand Devil one's a bit better. You get a 6-star Chaos War over here. I think the speed, anyway, you can go either side for this, but we come down the side. Silver, energy book, some gems, some oil, I think it's called, XP boost. We got our Chaos Ore. We get our 6-star glyph, and then this opens up this part down here where we can go to any of these. At this point, we have to grab 2 keys over here and 2 keys over here. Now that's 4 keys. So these 4 keys would be enough to open this lock and this lock, but not enough to open this lock. So that's step 1 anyway. And step 1, this green path, is actually not too expensive. It's 23,500, which is about 5 sacred shards. To grab all of that, roughly speaking. I'll give you a proper sacred shard breakdown in a second. That's step 1. Step 2, then, we have to come down this other path, right? If I get rid of step 1 for a second, right? We now have to come down this side path, or again, you could go down this side either. It's totally up to you. I think getting rarity charms and some of these coins is ideal. And then again, the Sand Devil oil and the Sand Devil reroll, I think, is more valuable. So I've gone down this side over here. So this is step 2. Basically come down, grab, again, charms, coins, oil, dust. That's the dust. What's this one called? Extract. That's it. Then we use one of our keys to open up this. We grab a legendary tome, which is sort of expensive, and then get these keys over here. So that's going to cost you 16,300. So this is what we'll have done so far. Number 1 will have come down, grabbed some keys. I mean, you could wait to grab the second keys if you want. I don't know what the point is, but we need to grab all these keys, right? We need 6 keys because you need 5 to open up this. So yeah, then we've come down for number 2. And then finally, obviously enough, at that point, number 3. It's just the big schlong in the middle, right? Now you've got enough keys, right? At this point, we've collected 6, but we've spent 1 key, obviously, doing this. So we have 5 keys remaining. So at this point, we can open up the rest of these. And yeah, bada bing, bada boom. We are through and we are good. I actually think, is it possible? So... you don't start with a key, do you? No, you don't start with a key. You don't start with one. I was just double checking that. Is it possible to get everything? I think if you wanted everything, you'd have to open this lock first, I think. Because let me see. We come down here. We've got 4 keys. Spend 1. We're down to 3. Plus 2. We're up to 5. And 1. And then we spend them all and we're gone. So if you do want to do everything, you would actually have to open up this lock first. Grab that legendary tome, grab these keys, because if you open up every other lock, well, you're going to be 1 key short because the spare key is kind of behind it. Now, that's not too important. The only thing, by doing it 1, 2, 3, the only thing you would permanently lock yourself off from would be this legendary skill tome and these 2 keys. I think that's more something to note, right? This is more something to note, right? That we would then not be able to open up that lock and we then lose out on these permanently. Something to note for future heroes paths. I really don't think this matters here, right? You're missing out 1 legendary skill tome, but if you're trying to get all the legendary skill tomes and the soul, you'd need to be watching out for it. But for future heroes paths, it does mean you can now screw your... I don't think this has ever happened before where you could permanently lock off part of the path by going a certain direction, but it does seem, unless I'm misunderstanding something, it does seem to be this way this time. Like, for this one, you have so much other stuff to spend points on. I really don't think you're going to be like, man, if only I had an extra 10k legendary book for me to spend points on. Like, there's mythical tomes, there's stuff all over the place. So yeah, look, in terms of the total cost then for this, it's very high. So the red part is the most expensive. So I've sort of blocked it here. It's 35,000. There we go. 35,000 for the 5-star soul, which is a really, really huge chunk of this cost, giving you 87,300 total. Now, here's the thing. If you wanted to, in fact, let me pause it. Let me draw up another path here. All right, sorry. There we go. I put this in. This is actually a pretty darn good way to, I think, for a budget player, for an earlier game player, that maybe has a few, maybe not early game, maybe sort of mid to late game player. You've got a few sacred shards, but there's no way that you can afford 87,000 points, right? Is doing this, right? So you just come down, you still have to do the green path. You get your 4 keys, then you spend your 4 keys to open 1 lock, grab the soul, open this lock, grab the 4-star soul. So you get a 4-star soul, which is a big chunk of the value. And then you stop, right? So instead of costing you, like, looking at it as 87,000 total, you're basically going in for 36,000, actually. So this is the blue path total, which is not bad. Total equals 36,000. Pretty sure I've added that up right. Doing this live is always risky, but that's not bad. 36,000, you get a 4-star Vault Keeper Wixwell soul and some other stuff. And obviously from this path, you still have 1 key left, right? You've collected 4 keys, you've spent 3, you've got 1 left, not enough to open up this. At this point, you can then look at spending, if you want to, the extra 50,000, and you can then come down and you can go grab these keys, and then you can open up this and grab this. And that's where, again, a lot of the cost is back-ended towards this 5-star soul, because you got to get past a 10,000 legendary skill tome node, and you have to get past the 35,000. That's the big chunk, right? The 35,000 for this. So that's the blue path, which I think is a pretty interesting option. But if you want the full soul, this is what you got to do. So you got the sort of those two versions of it, in fact. Yeah, like so. The two versions, right? That's interesting. Another path I did put in there, I just showed it to you, which I thought was kind of just, where is it? Here it is. Just intriguing to see is what I'll call the teal path, right? So the teal path, what's the idea with this? Is we go, okay, I care not about Vaultkeeper Wixwell nor his soul, but I want his portrait. Give me the portrait and give me the mythical tomes. So to do this, you basically come all the way down, but we're not caring about any keys. We're going to get, some essence. We're going to get some big oils, some mythical tomes. Those are obviously very expensive, and his portrait, and that would cost you, I believe, 88,500. So yeah, sort of grab all the tomes and all of the different ascension-y bits is going to cost you as much as getting the 5-star soul. So it is expensive. I mean, let's come break it down here really quick. Let's say in terms of sacreds, if you were to do this pure sacred, so let's actually get let's clear everything. Let's get our calculator over here. So let's say 87,300. Let's divide that by 4,500 for sacreds. You're looking at 19.4 sacreds to, oh, sorry, I've totally pressed a button and did that. So 19.4 sacreds to do like the whole shebang, right? The 1, 2, 3, 19.4. It's giving you a 5-star soul, which is nice, but it's an absolute ton of sacred shards. That's an absolute ton. It really, really is. Like that's almost everything, for instance, that I have saved. It's a huge amount. I've got 24, so I'd walk away with some, but it's a huge chunk. That's me. You guys know I save like a madman. You guys know this. So I think there was an extra legendary event for sacreds recently. I think that there was, obviously you could go for the summon rush. You could have gone for the epic champion in the summon rush. I didn't do that. I didn't do the extra legendary for sacred. So that's how I've managed to slowly save up to 24. But that takes a lot of time, a lot of willpower, skipping lots of events to get there. It's a big investment. Is it worth it? We'll talk about that in a second. Let's look at the other option first, which would be the 36,000 for a 4-star soul. Divide by 4,500. That would be 8. Which is actually very reasonable. So I think to get a 4-star soul for your Vaultkeeper Wixwell for 8 sacred shards is actually pretty decent. But here's the thing. The 5-star soul is way more expensive, right? You're going from 8 to 19. It's 11 more sacred shards. What do you get for that? Well, with the 4-star soul, obviously this sets you up in the future if you want to buy the 5-star soul from the soul merchant. To buy a 5-star soul, if you want to do that, it costs, I don't have it here, I think it's 100 of these big essence, which takes quite a big chunk of time. Yeah, I think it's 100 of the red essence. So you got to wait for it to show up in the shop, but it's very expensive. I think it's 300 to get the 6-star soul, which is really expensive as well. Wixwell would love the 6-star, but it's not essential. If you get the 4-star soul, you're going to get a chunk of HP, a chunk of attack, a chunk of defense, a bit more HP, and a big chunk of crit damage. And you're going to get the 2nd level effect of your blessing. When you go to 5-star soul, you get some things that are really powerful for Wixwell, in particular for like Hydra, I'd say, right? Where now your blessing effect, and let's say this is cruelty, which would be the best one for him for Hydra, I think in most circumstances for sure. Number 1, it stacks up that cruelty twice as much. The cruelty goes up a big chunk higher, and you also get 75 resistance for legendary and 75 accuracy, which is massive for Wixwell because you want to, if you're using him for Hydra, get his resistance and accuracy really high so he can mischief tank and he can debuff the boss with his provokes and decrease attack. Then he also wants HP so he survives. Defense makes his shield bigger. I don't think attack does anything. Maybe his damage scales off of attack, or I think it's off of defense. So attack is useless, unfortunately. But there's old Wixwell. There he is. Yes, damage scales off defense, so the attack is useless. But you're getting a lot of good stats. The crit damage, a bit more damage, not a big deal. Honestly, The 4-star soul isn't particularly good, right? Some hit points and some crit damage. The 4-star soul is kind of you could actually skip the 4-star soul. It doesn't save you, well, it'd save you 9,000. It would save you 2 sacred shards. So for 6 shards, I would say, yeah, for 6 sacred shards, you could come down the green path to 1 key. Actually, you could come down the yellow path to 1 key at that point if you wanted to do it as efficiently as possible. Come the yellow path. No, sorry, no, you can't. You need the key to get there. Ignore that. You have to come the green path and grab this key over here. And then you could come and you could grab the 3-star soul. So it would be 2,000 off the cost of green. It would be, yeah, basically 7,500 off the cost of blue. You basically save yourself 2 sacred shards. So for 6 sacreds, get a 3-star Wixwell soul. 3-star soul is pretty decent, actually. That's probably the budget way to do it. You get yourself 600 defense and some HP to keep him alive, and you get a level 2 cruelty effect, which is kind of nice. But 5-star is the big one. So yeah, that's actually my recommendation is if you have 6 sacreds to spare, a 3-star Wixwell soul is certainly not essential. It's somewhat worth considering. Yeah, that's worth considering. I would actually, thinking about it now, I wouldn't go for the 4-star soul. Unless I'm quite late game and I am intending to buy the 5-star soul. Let's say I'd be aiming for 3-star or 5-star. The only time you get 4-star is you say, okay, I really want him 5-star, but I cannot afford to do this event. I will buy the 5-star in the shop. In that sense, I would go for 4-star to set you up to buy 5-star, but that's the only purpose of 4-star, really. The only purpose of 4-star is to set you up to buy the 5-star. That's it. And personally, I would say for the 3-star soul, I probably wouldn't bother. Like, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. The 3-star soul is pretty nice. But 6 sacreds, I might rather save those, honestly, to... Yeah, it depends where you are in the game. But look, you could pull a 3-star soul eventually. You could pull that. It's not out of the realms of possibility. So I'm not too fussed about it. I might actually rather save sacreds, to be honest, for guaranteed champions in the future, for fusion events in the future. Or just save them up for the next champion that comes that's really good, and you want to get the 5-star soul for them. So I'm not too sold. I'm not too sold on it. It's interesting. It's a very interesting possibility. Like I said, there's a lot going on this path. For me, my recommendation is, look, I've broken it down. This sort of mini blue path to get the 3-star soul, that's okay. It's fairly cheap, and if you really want to pull some shards for faction unity, okay. But the benefits are small enough. It's certainly not essential. Don't feel bad about skipping and saving your shards, but it is an option. 4-star going the blue path, that's good if you really want the 5-star, but you can stop there. And then the 5-star is very expensive, but it might be worthwhile if you've got a ton of sacreds. This is something you need to consider. So let's actually talk about that. Why would you go for the 5-star? Well, it gives you a pretty big chunk of power, right? Getting that bonus resistant accuracy makes it much easier to build Vault Keeper Wixwell. He becomes pretty darn strong at applying cruelty. As you can see, though, cruelty becomes way better at 6-star, and the bonus speed is nice. But he's not an arena champion, so this is a bit more questionable whether you go all the way up to 6-star for him. But yeah, look, if they don't change... I personally, if I was a betting man, I would bet that they will change Yannicka. I would bet that they would. But let's say that they don't change the Yannicka thing. Vault Keeper, Wixwell plus Yannicka obviously makes a really overpowered Hydra composition. So that's probably the way that people would want to go. I don't think the cruelty helps you massively there. It helps a little bit with the gearing again, but not super essential. So yeah, I'm going to think about this one. I really like Wixwell. I think he's really good. The reason that I'm on the fence about it, you guys saw my key, we did it yesterday, is I was running... this team right here with Wixwell, I already have the 6-star cruelty from Nekmothar. So 5-star on Wixwell would help it stack faster, which is useful against decapitated heads, but it's not a crazy boost. And honestly, for me, I've got him built just fine, right? I actually have really good gear on Wixwell. I have him set up just fine for Hydra. So I'm not sure if I will go for this. He's good for Nightmare Hydra. Now, if they were to come out with an Ultra Nightmare Hydra, I'd be screwed, right? That's where that soul would be really impactful. But I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think about this? Are you going for it? It is very, very expensive. Like I said, the major opportunity cost would certainly be if this is going to cost you a fusion, no way. No way, right? A new legendary champion is worth way more than a soul for an existing champion. Even though Wixwell's really, really good, the fusions this year have been so strong. You want to get every fusion, or at least be able to get every fusion. So I definitely prioritize that first. You could also lose out on guaranteed champion events. And like the rewards we're getting along the way are pretty minimal. Like it is literally the soul. Like, yeah, you're going to get one legendary tome and a 6-star glyph. And you're getting a few little bits, but you're most of the points really are going into just the souls. So I don't know about it. Like I'm probably more likely just to stick Wixwell into my wish list and hope for the best is sort of my vibe. We'll see. There is, of course, I've been mentioning this just in terms of shards, but of course you've got the champion training option. I didn't touch on that. Champion training is an option, and that's something to consider, actually. Just doing champion training for a few days and trying to get the 3-star Wixwell soul, that's actually not too bad. That's even something I might do. So, yeah, look, I'm sort of... We've touched on a lot of things. I want to see your feedback, your advice. What do you guys think? For me, I think the 5-star Wixwell soul is really, really great, but it is... gosh darn expensive. And yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one. I think it really depends on how many 5-star souls you've got in your team already. But yeah, I don't know. Like Krisk for me is pretty close. I could buy Krisk a 5-star if I wanted to try up this team a little bit. But like I've got Aestrid for one team and Nekmothar for another. I'm doing pretty good on the support cruelties. Now, in a perfect world, obviously, it's quite a big damage increase to have, you know, let's say 3 damage champions and 6-star Crushing Rend is your biggest increase. Your supports all in 6-star cruelty is really, really good as well. But like, sorry, I'm running this team right now. But yeah, I don't know. Seeing as I've got that 6-star Nekmothar, I bought that with my red essence, right? I bought that. I've already got him invested. I don't know if I don't think I need to do this personally. It's a little fun. It's a fun little event, honestly, with these. Like, I wouldn't mind pulling for Fina myself as well. But I don't know. I will think about it. I'll probably do some champion training. That's what I'll do. I will champ train. Let me actually put in, you know what? Let's do the nub path here to finish it off. Let's do a glorious neon pink. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down this way with champ training. And I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to come back up. And I'm going to grab this. This is what I'm going to try do with my champ training. Right here, we're going to come down like that. And, you know, really the goal is to get this, for me, is this 3-star Wixwell soul. It's not even that important, but I'm going to try do it with champ training. So yeah, like I said, coming down this direction first, and then coming back for that Wixwell soul is sort of my ultimate goal. Guys, thanks for watching. This has been a bit of a rambling one because there's a lot going on here, but hopefully it has been an interesting discussion and also somewhat of a guide as well. Thanks. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.